So you're from Baskin, Louisiana, and I guess the first thing, being from the north, do we say Louisiana or Louisiana?
I say Louisiana. I put
Louisiana?
a few extra O's in there.
You find that, when you go to Louisville, though, there's like three ways to say it. There's Louisville, Louisville,
Louisville.
Right?
I think I say Louisville. What do you say?
I say whatever I'm told to say. I don't really.
I'm like, what are we supposed to say?
I'm from Canada. I don't know. But that's okay. The thing about Louisiana is that the accent and all the different regions of Louisiana are really unique. What's Baskin all about?
Oh my gosh! Well, there's 200 of us.
Like 200 total?
200 total. Probably less than that now. I think it was like 2010 when there was about 200 people, but you pretty much know everybody.
So there's 199 right now?
199
you're
after I left, yep. But just good people. A lot of blue-collar folks who take pride in what they do. My mom was a teacher. My daddy's a farmer. They showed me what hard work is all about, and I truly think that I haven't given up on this because of the way that I was raised in Baskin. Just
sure.
Pushing through those hard times.
It's a hard business. I mean, any business to do right is a hard one, but this one you got to, well, speaking of hats, awesome hat, by the way, but you got to wear all sorts of different hats.
You're right about that.
So, you're a singer, songwriter, performer, actor. You just come off stage, you're in your hotel room, and you close your eyes, and it's like, I am a this. This is the one thing they can't take away. If this stopped or this stopped here, but this is really the heartbeat of what I do. What is it?
Oh my gosh. I feel like there's a few names that come to mind. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. I'm an aunt. I feel like I have a lot of other roles that are just as important, if not more. I mean, I'm a friend. Very few people know like the real me, the deep down me. I mean, I share a whole lot. I am an open book, but like when I lay down at night, really the only thing that matters is what those people who I just talked about, those people think about me.
Wow. So you're so grounded. I mean, you're
I'm
flying
trying,
so high.
man.
And
I'm trying.
That's really important though, right? Because look at what happened. You just played a sold out show here. And now you're up early, you're doing all these interviews, these sorts of things, and, award shows all the time. It's a fast pace. So if you don't stay grounded, do you think you could get lost in this pretty easy?
I can definitely see where people do. I can definitely see where people turn to other things to try to get through it because it is grueling. If anybody understands, you do. It's hard. A lot of sacrifices. You miss a lot of weddings, a lot of funerals. Holidays, birthdays, you name it. But for me, I feel like this is the only thing I know how to do. So there's never been a plan B for me. It's kind of one of those things that just tracked me down and chose me and said, no, this is what you're doing, whether you like it or not.
Nice. So, going through all the awards, and congratulations on the CMT Music Awards.
Thank you.
You're sitting on top of the, all genre chart. I mean, it's great how people are embracing not just you, but what you do, right?
Yeah.
And but the Rule Breaker Award, this is one that stood out to me. It's like, this is a great thing. Women in country breaking rules. You said, Dolly Parton is a huge hero of yours. You haven't met her yet, right?
I have not met her, and I cannot wait.
Because because she's hosting the ACMs.
It's happening.
You're up for a boatload of awards there. So I guess the question is, you're from a town of 200 people. Your mom's the teacher. Were you a rule breaker as a kid, and how did you pull it off?
You know what? The thing is, I don't really know if I was a rule breaker, and I don't really know if I even feel like I'm breaking rules now. I mean, I guess maybe from afar, but I feel like I've really just kind of kept my blinders on, kept my head down, not worried about what everybody else is doing on either side of me. And it's crazy to think that nowadays that's called rule breaking, right?
Yeah, but okay, rule breaking versus trailblazing. Did Dolly do both those things? Were they different, or was it just what Dolly did?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, nobody can do it like Dolly can. Everything about the woman, her style, her sense of humor, her personality, incredible businesswoman, singer, songwriter, heart of gold. I really do ask myself the question, WWDD, what would Dolly do? I really do. When opportunities come my way, whether it was with Yellowstone or whatever, I had never acted a day in my life. But I thought, what would she do? She would say yes. She would walk through that door that opened for her, even if it was a little bit scary.
Well, that's the thing. Like, look at her, and she's, she's blazed trails through the Opry, all these things, and obviously taken on in business world with the theme park, and then the 9 to 5 movie, which was actually revolutionary. It had a huge statement, of course, and all these things that she did. But you're doing the same thing, and I'll get back to Yellowstone in a bit because I got a million questions there. But when you see an artist come through, they usually have a boatload of singles, and then they get into doing a headline tour, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like quality over quantity, it seems like, because arguably we've only seen a couple of singles from you and these collaborations you've done, but you're selling out these big shows. Why are people resonating with what you do?
It is wild, really thinking about where I come from. I mean, country music was my life, is my life. We eat, sleep, and breathe it. We lived out all of those country songs. I mean, besides like Goodbye Earl and stuff like that. We won't talk about that. But it really was the soundtrack of our lives. So I think for me, one of the things that really did help was with Yellowstone. I know we're getting there too. It kind of really helped put a face to a name, and it kind of connected those dots for me. I just write music about my life. You're going to hear stuff about Mama, Daddy, and Jesus.
Yeah.
And I've realized that writing the more personal stuff are the things that people can pull from and relate to and be like, oh my gosh, I feel like that line right there was written about me.
So if you're in Nashville, a lot of people, they write, a song a day or more, and it's conveyor belt. It's just like bang, bang, bang. And what's on the charts, let's pursue that. And back to this quality thing, because when I hear something like, I don't know, Watermelon Moonshine, right? You talk about kudzu, you talk about all these things that I've been down in Louisiana, and you kind of paint this picture. You're like, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Do you labor over those things, or is it like, are you at it every day and on that train, or are you just kind of like one of these artists that follow a muse? Because there's a couple of, it's a different animal, right?
Yeah. I'll say right now I feel like I'm in a different season of my life. Like during the pandemic, I mean, I wrote 300 plus songs. I was writing every day, and thank God I had that, because that's what got me through. So I feel like I was really, really prepared for that next record. Like I had written enough for the next few. Now I feel like it's a whole lot of touring, but once we get ready to, get back in the studio, I want to make sure that I've got 100 songs to choose from. I want to make sure that people see that growth, hear that growth, and kind of feel like we're growing together. But writing is one of my favorite parts of this entire thing. I mean, that's where it started for me. It's from storytelling. Yeah.
So it's neat because as a listener, as a musician, you kind of hook on to what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like, this big Nashville machine. They're going to all be pitching songs for you. I don't think it's that easy for someone outside you can't write a Lainey Wilson song. Lainey Wilson seems to have to write it.
I'm always the type of person where I'm like, I'm never going to say no to an outside song, but it's got to feel like I wrote it and I lived it. And sometimes you got to live it to write it. And that's how I feel about it. And I feel like at this point people could read through it.
I wanted to bring that around because that's kind of answering the question I had, is why are people resonating? That's why I resonate, because I get to know you through the songs, as opposed to, hey, this rhymes and it's got a good beat. It's like, it's your story.
Yeah, it's
a good thing.
It's my story, and we're all a lot more alike than people think.
Right on. Yellowstone. So you're sitting at home, somebody says, hey, guess what? The creator of Yellowstone decided to create a character just for you, and your name's Abby. So how's this go down?
Man, okay, so they had put a few of my songs in season 2 and season 3, which really introduced me to a lot of people. I mean, I had people show it to my shows, and they're like, I found you through the Yellowstone, tracks. And like, it's crazy to think that a show can have that much of an impact just by having your song on it. But I got to know Taylor Sheridan, and he invited me out to Vegas to play like a horse reining show. And we bonded over horses. I grew up on the back of a horse and really just respected each other. And he was like, here's my phone number. Let's just keep in contact. And then a few years later is when he called me, and he said, I've got this idea. Let's do this. Let me create a character for you, and I want you to play a musician.
What character did you, Abby, of course, this is you, but what character do you relate to on the show outside of Abby?
Hey,
Like,
I got
my
a little
daughter
Beth
likes
in
Beth,
me.
right?
I got a little Beth in me. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, all right. So my question was, could you take somebody to the train station if it had to be
If
done?
I had to,
All right.
you're right.
That's
Yeah,
how we do it in Baskin. I mean, if you got to go to the train station, I'll do it for
that's
you.
right. That's right.
So, and then, I was asking friends, like, what should I ask Lainey, right? And you don't want to do the Barbara Walters question of if you could be any tree, what would it be, right? Where'd the bell bottoms come from?
So I got my first pair of bell bottoms when I was like 8, 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
My mama bought me this blue leopard print pair, and it was one of those things where, I mean, eventually she's like, "You got to take them off. We got to wash them."
Right.
Like, I was obsessed with them, but I've really always just been obsessed with things that are throwback, whether it's music, stories, clothes. I love it all. I mean, if you walk in my house, you'll see my daddy's old rodeo chaps hanging up on the wall and mama's china cabinet. But I moved to Nashville in 2011, and I realized pretty quick from being there that I was going to have to do something that was, first of all, real to me, but also a little outside of the box, because, I mean, we all know that if you're a decent songwriter and have a decent voice, that is not the only thing that is going to get you to where you want to go.
Right.
And for me, I was like, all right, well, I want to make a statement. And I have worn bell bottoms every single day. My sweatpants are bell bottoms.
You have sweatpant bell bottoms?
I'm
Man,
like,
I could pull that
sticking
off.
to it. I mean, when I
Even my shorts are bell bottoms.
that's
it's
it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's happening.
I love that. I love it because I look at your album cover, and take this in a good way, okay?
Yeah.
Because I see the album cover and I'm like, that emerald green,
Yeah.
that throwback thing. It's just like, it's so royal and so beautiful, and I'm like, that's my mom's drapes.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's
I know.
the drapes
It
in my
takes you
house when I
home.
grew up.
It takes you home.
It's fantastic. So there you go. I'll have to get me some bell bottoms.
I love
John
that.
Party did, right?
He
So
did. He did.
They're good for haying and
Hey.
working on the cattle.
They stretch.
Yeah.
They're good.
So, we live down in Nashville, and one of the things my wife and I love is sweet tea. Louisiana sweet tea. We have to buy it when we come home.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody brews sweet tea in Canada. Have you done the Tim Hortons thing here? Are you hip to that?
I haven't yet, so
No.
I guess I'm going to have to do that right after this.
Yeah, you don't. Well, it's not your only connection to Canada that's coming up and playing these shows, but your friends Meghan Patrick, who joined you, big surprise for all the fans last night on stage.
So much fun.
How'd you guys meet?
I actually met her the first day that she moved to Nashville. She had drove 14 hours to Nashville, and we were at a venue called Basement East.
Yeah.
And the Beast, and she's walking in, and I was with another friend, and we actually just met right there on the spot and became friends instantly. I knew that she was going to be a dear friend of mine for a very long time, and I laugh and joke and say that she would fight a grizzly bear for me, but she would.
And I'd be scared for the
I know.
grizzly bear.
That's what and she would enjoy it, and then
Yeah.
they'd come back for more, and she'd do it again.
Yeah, right.
So
That's great. Well, you're both very real, and I mean, it's an obvious friendship. So, just quickly back to this Dolly thing. She's going to be hosting the ACMs. Congratulations on all the nominations.
thank you.
When you meet her, you're so accomplished as an artist, writer, all these things we talked about, star on TV with Yellowstone. Are you going to meet her as a peer, or are you that 12-year-old kid with the Dolly poster on your wall?
In the first 5 minutes, I'm definitely going to be that 12-year-old little girl. I have
Yeah.
that feeling. But if I had to guess, her and I are going to really connect pretty quick. I mean, I've learned so much from her from not even meeting her.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't imagine how much I would actually learn from her just sitting down and having a conversation. I've got a lot of questions.
I think she'll be like Taylor. I think you're going to get a phone number out of this, and I think you'll
I
become
hope, wouldn't
fast
that be
friends.
something?
You know what I mean?
Just texting Dolly Parton.
Dollywood, Lainey Wood. She'll tell you how to get your own theme
Yeah,
park.
yeah.
It'll be great.
I've got some questions.
So fast forwarding, because your career has already been an impactful one. When they induct you into the Country Music Hall of Fame, the American Music Hall of Fame, all the Hall of Fames,
Thank you.
what do you hope your biggest contribution to the whole kind of landscape would be?
Oh my gosh. I hope when we get to that point, because I'm manifesting it just like you did for me. I'm a big fan of that. I hope people will say, wow, she did this by being nothing but herself. She didn't have to be anything other than herself. And that's what I want to do, is I want to encourage people to lean into whatever it is that makes them them.
Wow.
And staying true to yourself and your story. Of course, growing and learning and surrounding yourself with people who want to see you be better, but love you for you. And really, that's what it's all about for me. I want to be the same person, the same little girl with stars in her eyes 50 years from now.
You realize you're that, those people out there are looking at you. You're their Dolly Parton. They're going, what would Lainey do? How's that feel?
That's weird. But it's a great feeling. It's a big responsibility. Yeah. It's definitely a big responsibility because she has definitely, I think, been that person where a lot of people are like, what would she do? She paved the path for folks like me, and it's cool to think that I'm also doing the same.
Well, I have a 16-year-old daughter who is definitely watching. She's definitely watching what you do. She's listening to what you do. So the fact that you take care with, every turn of a phrase, every story that you tell with music, and the way you really are yourself, because it does translate. You know what I mean? It really does. It's authentic. Just keep that up and just keep doing what you're doing. And thank you for coming to Canada. All the best on the tour.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
Right on.